Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Keys of the Castle podcast. Today, I'm going to go ahead and jump back into the this or that matchup for Disneyland ride, this or that would you rather roulette matchups. And on the last episode, there was a bit of a teaser for this one, so feel free to check that out too. But I'm going to go ahead and continue on with the next matchup, which, as stated in the last episode, is going to be a crazy matchup. So this time we've got a crazy matchup. These are all randomized. I'm not sure if Disneyland has an even number of rides or an odd number of rides. I thought it was an odd number, but maybe I'm thinking about back before when before there was Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway or something. I'm not too sure. But there's an even number for my matchups here on this series. Hopefully we'll get through all of them. There's 18 matchups total. We're on number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there's going to be, I think, an honorable mention, potentially, that I might have forgotten about. One little teeny tiny one at the end of the series, or somewhere along the lines. But for now, we're going to stick to this crazy matchup. Totally random. Once again, roulette, randomized matchups for this or that would you rather Disneyland Ride Edition. So this matchup is between, and just to recap, these matchups are for basically a couple different scenarios. So what I'm doing is, would you rather, if you had to pick one ride to go away forever from Disneyland and one ride to keep. So just to lay those grand rules down, that's kind of the catch. And with every one of these so far, I've been thinking it depends on what it's replaced with. So let's just get rid of that idea. Let's just pretend all other factors are equalized in terms of space and entertainment. So all you're doing is you're not losing or gaining any other entertainment. If one of these rides goes away, you're not losing or gaining any space in the park. It's just going to be just the ride itself, just the level of just having this ride or that ride, straightforward. And then we've also been breaking it up into if you are just visiting the park once a year. For example, just hypothetically, if I'm only visiting the park once a year, which one would I rather go on? So let's go ahead and do that. So let's jump into it. This crazy matchup, it's so crazy it may or may not be broken up into different episodes. So we'll just get it going and see how it goes. This episode's not, it's not going to be too crazy long. So we'll see how it goes. Maybe broken up into different portions, but maybe not. We'll see. So finally, I will stop rambling on and finally say this is Peter Pan versus Pirates of the Caribbean. Would you rather get rid of Peter Pan or Pirates of the Caribbean? Would you rather skip Pirates of the Caribbean or Peter Pan? Would you rather keep one of the two? So this is a very, very interesting topic. I suppose we can get into it. I'll just kind of share my opinion as always on every episode. I'll kind of share my thoughts on the current state and the current version of things. So yeah, with the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, definitely my outlook has changed over the years on that ride. So it's a very different ride now than it used to be when I first went on the ride back in the 90s, in the 1990s. So it's a very, very different ride, and it's just not the same ride. So I'll be kind of comparing it to now. And I'll go ahead and jump in. So let's go with that first. If I'm visiting the park for just one day, We'll start with that. One day in the year, and I had to choose one or the other. It's a really, really tough one, to be honest. I might just take the hot take route. I might just take the unpopular opinion route. And these are two very, very popular rides with, of course, two very, very similar themes and similar histories. They're both very classic Disney parks. Peter Pan, of course, is an opening day attraction, an opening day ride at Disneyland, meaning there's been a Peter Pan ride at Disneyland ever since day one of Disneyland opening. Pirates of the Caribbean, of course, followed a couple years after Disneyland opened. Maybe not a couple years, what was it? Maybe 10, 11 years, something like that, after Disneyland opened. But in terms of how many years in terms of how many years Disneyland has been open, it's Pirates of the Caribbean was not open too much later after the opening of Disneyland. So that being said, they've both got the just, I suppose, fantasy type of fantasy fairy tale adventure type of theme going on. They've both got piratey aspects to them going on, and I think for the sake of just going against the grain, if I'm there for a day and I have to choose one or the other, I'm gonna choose Peter Pan, and I'll do that on purpose just for the sake of going against the grain and doing that unpopular opinion hot take. And the reason actually is a couple of reasons. So number one, it may actually be somewhat realistic, because with a 1-year-old baby that I have, I'm actually not too sure that she'd be able to handle the 16-minute ride of Pirates of the Caribbean. That would be a really long time for a baby to be freaking out on that ride. She has already gone on the ride. I don't know or don't think that she would really enjoy it too much particularly. She could. She may end up being a pirate baby and wanting to join the crew. So maybe some of her first words will be yo-ho while she's on that ride. But more than likely, I don't think she would get too much entertainment from it. So I'm going to skip that one and go with Peter Pan. And she's been on both of those rides before. Peter Pan was the first ride that she ever went on in her life. And I think it's a good, safe ride to go on because, if she freaks out, the ride will literally be over in like 30 seconds. Or at least less than a few minutes. So I think that's the safer choice. But, not only that, but really, I think if it was the original Pirates of the Caribbean ride from the 1990s, I think it would actually be a different story. So I think actually maybe my opinion would be different actually, which is just crazy, but maybe my opinion would be different if the ride were still the, not original opening day, but the original ride that I went on, that I know of as the original ride from the 1990s. I think I would actually be so loyal to the ride that I would be like, nope, this is not an option. Baby's going on this ride, like it or not, screaming or not, it doesn't matter. For, tradition's sake, for culture's sake, for all of those sake, for my own enjoyment's sake, we'd be getting on that ride. And that's that. But honestly, I don't want to be too negative about the ride and too much of a downer, but it has changed. And we are 100% going to break this up into one or two different segments because the time is short on this episode for today. But I will say that it's we'll leave it at that, just that my my choice for this or that would you rather a Disneyland ride roulette matchup for Peter Pan versus Pirates of the Caribbean. If I'm only at the parks for one day with myself and my family and I had to choose between Peter Pan and Pirates of the Caribbean, I'm going to go against the grain. I'm going to go with the hot take on popular opinion, and I'm going to choose Peter Pan as my choice. And it is a little bit sad to say. Again, I don't want to be too negative or controversial on this channel, but I would say that my relationship with Pirates of the Caribbean and my opinion on it has changed over the years greatly as the ride has changed. It's really hard to... It's not hard to enjoy that ride, but it's hard not to feel a pretty good amount of disappointment while riding that ride. Just in terms of, the changes that have been made. It's really just not the same ride, and not even just for nostalgia's sake. And maybe my opinion is tainted by nostalgia, or biased by nostalgia. But I really do feel like there's like a strange disconnect with the storyline of the ride, and just throwing in like the IP and stuff like that. I don't think there's anything wrong with like having some IP in there. IP meaning the intellectual property that is the movies, the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. So I'm not saying don't put anything from the movies in there, but of course the ride did come first. There was no movie based off of that. The movie was based off of the ride. So it is a little bit weird to ride that ride without it just doesn't feel like there's quite enough. Not that there needs to be a lot of continuity, but it just feels very a little bit too random in terms of theming and the story. I think it would actually be really cool idea to do like temporary changes, like it would be cool to do, like, obviously the quicker and easier it would be, the better. But similar to the way that Haunted Mansion has the Nightmare Before Christmas overlay, similar to the way that Soaring Over California can be switched back and forth between Soaring Over the World. I'm guessing now it's just called Soarin', which is confusing because everybody knows that Soaring Over California is a far, far, far superior version. So I don't know why Disney has Soaring Over the World as the main attraction, and then on the off season or what have you, they bring back Soaring Over California. It should really be the opposite. Like, they should really just randomly rotate in, Soaring Over the World. And also it's even similar to the whole Star Tours Adventure Continues idea, where, you get a different experience each time and what have you, which again, I could probably do potentially a whole episode on that, where I don't understand why the original Star Tours is not in the rotation of the adventures. Makes zero sense to me. Maybe there's some sort of IP continuity issue there, where they only want a certain content to be in the Adventure Continues a series of Star Tours rides. I completely disagree with that, though. It's just crazy to me. I think the original one is far superior. So listen to me. Maybe I am biased by nostalgia. But either way, all that to say, I basically lost my track. But no, for Pirates of the Caribbean, I think it is a little confusing. And I think it would be really cool to switch things in and out, to have some music in there from the movie, and then have the original music back in for the canon, canon scene. I don't know what it's called, the firefight scene, or like the cannon attack scene. I think that would be really cool, even rotating in and out some of the animatronics. I don't think that would solve everything, in my opinion, to some of the just issues that it presents. But I think there's definitely some ways to really, really improve that ride that haven't been done. So doing another episode, that's going to do it for this one. So I'll leave it on that cliffhanger. So much more to be said about Pirates of the Caribbean. Maybe I'll go into it more on the next one, or maybe I'll just stick on the next one to talking more about Peter Pan. Or we got to do the matchup of which ride would rather which ride would you rather have gone away for forever between Peter Pan and Pirates of the Caribbean? That's the $1 million question for this matchup. We'll save that for next time. For now, thanks for listening if you have, and take care.